As summer came to a close, just 2 days after Labor Day, divers made the discovery.
I'm worried because this is something we've tried to keep out.
On the bottom of Lake Tahoe, tiny new creatures that could bring huge changes.
About 2,000 feet offshore.
Meet Lake Tahoe's newest inhabitant, the New Zealand mudsnail. Small enough you could pack several on one of your fingernails. The snail's arrival breaks a 15-year streak of good fortune.
Since 2008, we hadn't had a new invasive species in the lake?
To our knowledge, that's true.
Everything that lives in and around the lake is connected.
Correct.
And when something new comes along, how disruptive can that be?
It can be extremely devastating.
Just look at Lake Tahoe's last invasive mollusk, the Asian clam. First found in 2001, its population exploded. Shells litter the lake bed, adding calcium to the water. When they're alive, the clams pump out nutrients that can fuel toxic algae blooms. And just like these Asian clams, every New Zealand mudsnail can make babies solo.
They are asexual, yes, so you only need one.
The snails are new to Tahoe, but they've been around the West for years. And scientists have figured out one thing for sure: they're resilient.
And they can survive being dry for at least a day, if not multiple days.
Biologist Michelle Baker ran a study feeding a diet of mud snails to trout. Those trout lost weight faster than starving fish.
We grew some New Zealand mud snails in an aquarium.
Michelle and her team laced the snails with a special type of nitrogen to trace how much nutrition the trout got from eating them. The answer? Not much, because
some of the snails, about half of them, a little more than half, passed through the gut and weren't digested.
You heard that right. Most of the New Zealand mud snails survived being eaten alive.
How?
Well, have you ever seen one of these mud snails? They're smaller than a grain of rice, and they have a structure on them called an operculum.
The operculum is a calcified bit of shell on the snail's foot. When the snail gets scared, it pulls the operculum back like a trap door, slamming the shell shut.
So they're stuck in their shell and they've got a little cover. And I think that probably allows them to pass through the digestive system without being injured.
It's not just fish. Studies found New Zealand mud snails can survive being eaten by birds. So at least in theory, this little bottom-dwelling invader has a way to fly. We're never going to be able to stop birds from dropping bombs in Lake Tahoe, but in truth, that's probably not how the snails got here. More likely, they hitched a ride on someone's boat or fishing gear.
Generally speaking, with invasive species, the main vector is human activity.
After a wide search of Tahoe's south shore, it looks like New Zealand mud snails are bunched in the sandy bottom of just this one area. And with some concerted effort, we might be able to keep them from making huge colonies around other parts of the lake.
So you're reducing that risk of spread.
Tahoe's had mandatory inspections of motorboats since 2008. More recently, mobile cleaning stations are popping up at Lake Tahoe to help paddlers do the clean, drain, dry technique on their kayaks and paddleboards. As for the mud snails already here,
The unknown is right where we are right now.
At this stage, yes, but we are in that fact-finding mode.
Tahoe's ecosystem, the food web of what eats what, is unique. The New Zealand mud snail is just one of many invaders threatening the pristine blue water. How much of a threat to Lake Tahoe and what can be done about the New Zealand mud snails here, we just don't know yet.
They're not in a lot of high alpine lakes, so there's not a lot of research.
For those of us who love this lake, the answers in the years ahead will be worth watching. Brandon Rittiman, ABC 10 News.